Secondary storage. Main memory, or RAM, is used to store data and programs which are currently being used by the CPU. However, most people have a wide range of programs that they regularly use. Perhaps not all at once, but they still want to be able to access them as and when they want. Imagine finishing your homework and knowing that you've got an hour left before dinner. How frustrating would it be to have to download your online game again and patch it every single time you want to play it? Much better to have it stored on your computer, ready and waiting for when you want to use it. The same thing goes for files and documents. The task sheet you're working on right now is open in RAM. But what about in a year's time when you come to revise for your exams? It won't still be in RAM by then. As you know, main memory is volatile, i.e. it loses its data once the power is removed. There needs to be a way to store data and programs long term so that you can access them in the future as and when you need them. Luckily, secondary storage allows us to do this very thing. Some examples of secondary storage that you use regularly are hard disks, flash memory, CDs, DVDs, etc. In your exam, you might get asked the difference between main memory and secondary storage. Let's look at the differences. The first and probably main difference is that secondary storage is non-volatile, whereas memory, RAM, is volatile. So secondary storage will retain its data even when the power is lost. Another difference is the storage capacity. RAM can commonly store a few gigabytes of data. An average computer will have around 8 gigs of RAM storage, whereas hard disks now store terabytes of data. Another difference is that main memory is accessed directly by the CPU, whereas secondary storage isn't. What about virtual memory, I hear you ask? Well, virtual memory is where a section of the hard disk is set aside when the system runs out of main memory. But the CPU doesn't directly access virtual memory. It's the operating system that swaps programs and data back and forth between virtual memory and RAM. So that explanation holds true even for virtual memory. When learning about secondary storage, you might hear the terms storage device and storage media used. Many resources talk about them interchangeably as if they were the same thing. However, they're not the same thing, and it is important to understand the difference between these two terms. A storage device is the physical hardware that carries out the storage action. For example, a DVD or CD writer are storage devices. Storage media is the physical object used to actually store the data, so the actual DVD disc or CD disc, or a flash memory stick. Some secondary storage devices do not have separate media. For example, a hard disk or solid-state flash drive are self-contained with no external media.